This week, the Blucifer brothers are back, just like the Denver Nuggets. And just like the Denver Nuggets, we didn't work too hard the past week. We are going to break down the Nuggets' big win over the Hornets and more, including my red-hot Christian Brown take that will leave a scorched earth behind it and hopefully motivation for someone. All that and more. Dan, play that funky music. All right, welcome into another episode of the Blucifer Brothers. I am your host, Kyle Poland, joined as always by my delightful younger brother, Ryan Poland. Ryan, how is this week treating you?
The week has been pretty good, I suppose. It felt long. We're recording this on a Friday night, and I'm ready for a weekend. How about you?
Well, that would sound great, Ryan, except for the fact that my wife has had the flu all week, and now it appears that it's been passed on to our son.
Your pregnant
this
wife,
weekend,
mind you,
I'll be trying not to get sick from someone who I would put in his top 5 favorite things to do, either raspberrying or licking me. So I predict I'm not going to be successful in that this weekend, Ryan. But at least I'll have Nuggets basketball to keep me going.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we had
good luck with that.
Closing. Yeah. Pray for me is the bottom line there. And Dan, if you just want like a week off, just let me know and I'll come. We can meet outside. I'll cough in your mouth real quick, and you can take a break in the basement for a week. It does appear to come with a pretty severe fever and body aches and chills, and some mucusy cough. Overall, seems pretty miserable. But you can be alone in your basement for a week. It's honestly debatable the correct choice. But this podcast, we want to get into Nuggets here. They came back from the All-Star break, continued their winning streak. They won 129-115 over the Hornets. Hornets were on a back-to-back, no LaMelo. And it looked like the Nuggets were going to handle business at different times. And then in the third quarter, I was almost positive we were just going to lose because it looked like that kind of game where like, they just had like a high energy, like annoying young guy, and the refs were just letting him push Jokic and foul him. And Jokic gets so pissed sometimes about that. Like you saw at end of this first half when he tried to draw those 2 fouls and was like, beside himself, like couldn't believe they didn't get called, at least his foul. So it felt like maybe he was a little frustrated. And it felt like a losable game, but then the bench, Russ was back, DeAndre, those guys went on a 12-2 run, and the Hornets did not have the firepower with a frustrated starting unit coming back in. Murray continued to stay hot. It was the first reintegration of Murray, Porter, Jokic. And I thought it was interesting that, Porter had a pretty invisible game. Right? Like he had the one big dunk. Like he had some things here and there, but like he missed some open threes. He just like the 2-man game with Murray and Jokic was so prevalent that like it didn't feel like he got many shots or many looks on a dribble handoff. A weird night there. Do you think that's been a complaint sometimes from Michael Porter, famously in the bubble. But Nuggets fans sometimes too, of like, we can become too quick with the, like, we're just going to Murray Jokic pick and roll all the time and do nothing else. Where did you feel about the offensive diversity there?
I think that's pretty much what we should do. Like that pick and roll is so effective because they're both so effective passing the ball as well. Like Michael Porter Jr. standing in the corner, yeah, it doesn't look like he's doing much there, but it's exactly where he should be. Because if the defense collapses, which they're going to have to start doing more, like we really haven't seen them, in the back half of some of these games, they might start defending Jamal like he's bubbled Jamal. but it's not usual. Like they're not blitzing him in the same way that they did last playoffs. They're not doing that in the same way. So we're going to start to see more of that. And then Michael Porter Jr.'s game will open up. And he's been streaky in the past and he's had disappearing acts in the past. And one game is not going to make me feel any different about him. Like he's looked great shooting the ball. He's been more athletic, getting put back dunks and whatever, he's rebounding. So he's doing things that you want him to do. I don't think he's inactive in the game to your point, I guess, but and I think the offense will come.
Yeah, he's just felt like to me a guy that you have to try to keep engaged. But I did want to something you said there kind of made me think about the way teams are defending Jamal Murray. Like last night's press conference, they were asking him like what he was seeing, and he was like, well, I mean, they're just going under on screens. Like he's like, if they go under, I think that's just pretty obvious, right? Like I'm going to shoot that. And it made me think of back when JJ Redick was doing color commentary, and it was into that Nuggets run, and JJ was pointing out like Jamal Murray, if you go under a screen, you are just getting absolutely fried in like points per possession. And so it feels like this Murray cold streak and Jokic's unbelievable run has made teams a little bit disrespectful. But to your point, how do you feel about Murray potentially handling more of a, not a superstar, but more of a star level attention from the defense? Like the Hornets, he made his first three and the Hornets went under the screen. Like it was unconscionable. Like you were just like, what are you doing? But that's not going to happen in the playoffs. That's not. And obviously that's where this team is working towards. How confident do you feel in Murray to handle that like kind of physicality, that kind of like, hey, we're not going to just give you walk-in threes. Like you're going to have to earn these points. How do you feel like him on a night to night doing that? Because even if that opens up some things for Michael, I think, you still would like points from Murray and like that threat, even under some increased pressure.
Yeah, I think we have a bad taste in our mouth because he was so ineffective in the playoffs last year and seemed to really wilt under some of that pressure. Like he was not engaged in the same way when they were really pressuring him in the front court and doing all those things. Like he looked out of sorts a little bit. I think he was hurt.
Yeah.
And like he was not in shape in the beginning of the year. He looks like a different player. Like he could have, the Jamal Murray 6 months ago looked like he ate this current Jamal Murray. But so I feel confident in that. And I think what we're starting to see is a little bit more of what that championship run was like, where it was truly just like, okay, you can't really stop Jokic. Like he's going to do whatever he's going to do. And if the two-man game is working, then Jamal's kind of going to get his 21, maybe give you 32 on the right night. And then you start to add in like a resurgent Christian Brown, and all of a sudden it starts to look very similar to that starting five that we had. AG's, I think he's struggled with injuries, but he's been doing exactly what AG needs to do. Like, Porter, obviously, he's shooting the absolute shit out of the ball. So we can't be upset at like his production, given the opportunities that he's had. He's produced very well with the opportunities.
I wasn't. I didn't mean it as an attack on Porter at all. I
know you were. I think you were sort of advocating for him.
We talked about it. I just remember us talking about it. Of like, hey, like it feels like when there's only Murray or only Porter out there, it's a much more streamlined sort of thing rather than a your turn, my turn. Last night, Murray got it going, and so it wasn't anyone else's turn. Like it was like, yeah, me and Jokic are going to shoot a lot of these shots here, and if you're open, we're going to find you. But like, we're feeling pretty good tonight, boys. Like we'll take it from here. Sort of a thing. But to your point, it's interesting to me that second unit, a lot of offense for Julian Strother. And so that makes me think of, is that, maybe still some Strother minutes, but is Porter out there with that unit where he can kind of get some of those curls and, hey, we're always bringing it to you on the dribble handoff sort of moments and sort of reps that maybe balance it out a little bit when you tighten up the rotation a little bit too. That was another thing I thought of as potentially a solve
It's
to that little, not a problem, but like you said,
the other
being a little
thing,
awkward.
just in terms of rotation, is no Peyton Watson makes this a lot different. Like the bench option for bringing Mike out early and then running him with that bench unit,
Mm-hmm.
it becomes a little bit trickier when that's Zeke Najee as opposed to Peyton Watson. So,
Yeah.
And Zeke's been playing pretty well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't disagree. I think he deserves more opportunity. It's just like, where do we find that? And I don't think taking away from the two-man game is the way to do it.
No, certainly not. And
Especially
it
when
won't.
Jamal looks like this.
No. Well, especially if the defense is just going to go under. Like,
Well, they can't continue to do that. They're
no,
going to have to get creative like they've gotten in the past, which
no.
they haven't been forced to do that yet.
The
So,
Lakers are going to have something for it
oh
on
yeah,
Saturday. We're going to see JJ try his little heart out there
yeah.
because I was watching the Aaron Gordon interview with NBA Today, and it's Nuggets. You beat them 13 out of the last 14 times. Like, if we win this one, I mean, they don't have, like you said, a great chance in catching us, but they still have a chance.
Yeah.
And winning this game is a big part of it. Because to your point, when that league gets out to, 3.5, 4 games, there's only 20 left, dude. Like you're asking a lot of yourself down the stretch. And especially with like aging LeBron and that. So I do think it's kind of a rare thing that I think we could see a really engaged and trying hard Lakers team on Saturday, which obviously I want the Nuggets to win. I want them to play well, but I want teams that are throwing like different strategies or unique things that like they really think can throw a wrench in your stuff, which doesn't often happen in the Western Conference because like we used to have to rely on the Raptors or Philly or the Celtics, like teams that are in the East, but we're like, we're not worried about showing the like Nuggets too much for like the finals or something. Whatever. We're going to try to win this game on a Thursday. I think those things are really meaningful and see kind of where you've got to problem solve. Because right now, like it was just Jokic and Murray taking wide open threes. And it was like, well, if they go in, I predict you guys are going to lose. And sure enough, they did. Like, so it'll be good to see him get challenged. How are you feeling about that game, I guess, and this upcoming stretch where Malone talked about it being brutal? It's like, I mean, it's the Lakers, it's the Pacers, you get the Pistons, and you get the Celtics. Now, or Milwaukee Pistons, Celtics. Now, you are on the road, obviously, out east for a lot of those. So that can add to the difficulty. But, obviously the Celtics are insanely good. The rest of those teams are right around where you are. So to me, this is valuable experience when you talk about a Julian Strother and what does that look like for the playoffs. If Julian is on the road in Milwaukee and it's a close game and he's knocking down those threes, like that to me is a signal for Malone of like, oh, okay, we got our spark plug scorer. Does it differently, obviously, but like our Bruce Brown type, to where there were games where you're just like, holy shit, Bruce Brown had 24. We are for sure losing this game. Like, and it's not an insult to Bruce Brown. It's just that you can only game plan, to your point, for so many things. And so I guess before we get into the stretch, I wanted to ask, like, it looks effortless.
Yeah.
For like 130. And like there'll be stretches where they'll play bad offense. Like, or not like bad, like they're getting, but like just not surgically kind of cutting them up. Like they'll have a few possessions in a row and then they'll get a little willy-nilly with it.
But
But
I
it
was
doesn't
looking.
feel like this is easy to stop for anyone. Like at this point,
It's all grease over here, baby. No grind, all grease. Yeah, no, the offense looks unbelievable. I took the over in the first quarter. It was like 55 and a half yesterday. I was like, oh, we're soaring over that. The Nuggets might have 55 and a half points in the first quarter. Like, the defense is leaving a little bit to be desired. I think it's been a little bit better lately. It was so bad earlier in the year that they're still not, like, we're sort of middle of the pack in terms of defensive rating, which isn't terrible. I would like to see that number creep down a little bit. Like,
yep.
let's get that a little bit better.
Because it does feel like that's the major difference when you're talking about the championship team and this team is like there were some games where that championship team clamped some teams in the regular season where we were like, oh shit, like
Yeah.
we held a team to 98 and they're like good. Oh my
Yeah.
god, like, and it doesn't feel like this team has had that type of performance. They've had spurts, but it feels much more like pressure turnover
This is a
reliant than
great
like get a stop, get a rebound, get a stop, get a rebound, right?
This current stretch is a great stretch to try to stretch that or to like
Yeah.
flex that muscle a little bit. Like these teams aren't offensive juggernauts necessarily, but they're good teams. And if you can hold them to 110 even, that would be great. Like
110 against this Nuggets offense is a death sentence.
Yeah.
They're just a little bit crisper and have more ways to solve problems, I guess. Like the one felt like the championship team, it felt like it was all based off of Murray Jokic pick and roll or Jokic post ups. And it feels like now, if you just like have a big rim protector, Rudy Gobert looking dude, we're just going to have Jokic go stand at the 3-point line and pop every time. And we'll play downhill off of that. Like,
yeah, unfortunately for them, he's now the third best 3-point shooter in the league.
Yeah. Like,
oh,
so we can play outside there. We've shown the ability to have like more of an ability to fast break than maybe we looked for before in terms of just like attacking downhill if you fall asleep. And then the Porter on the side handoffs was those games that Murray was out. That was deadly. And he was playing against teams with long wings, like teams that, in theory, the Pelicans, for all their flaws, length on the 3-and-D type guys was not one of them. So the fact that he cooked them up twice, I think that was a sign that that's something they'd be comfortable going to. And then for some reason, I don't know if it's in his new contract or always has been, but we just do 5 stupid fucking Aaron Gordon isolations starting at the 3-point line a game. I don't know if those are mandated or if we can work those out of the offense.
Yes, those are mandated, by the way, because he does everything else on defense. We just say we're throwing 5 possessions away. We're throwing. And listen, he's
Sometimes
trying to get back in his rhythm. I'm going to defend AG. I can't believe you're coming at his name like this. We need those possessions. Those possessions are vital. Those are as good of possessions as when Jokic can get in the low block against a smaller defender. They're equally as efficient and effective, and I won't hear anything more about it.
I hear you, Stephen A. I hear you loud and clear.
Stephen A would never say anything like that.
Oh, I thought you were making fun of him because remember when he was debating with JJ Redick and he was like, Jokic isn't like a post scorer like that. And JJ's like, hey, since they've started measuring like most effective plays, you know what the highest points per possession is? Jokic post ups.
Oh my goodness. John Collins just absolutely put I couldn't tell what Thunder player that was in a poster. People are going to be watching that tomorrow.
All right. Something to look out for. John Collins. But so with this offense, where do you think the like playoff kind of average comes to? Obviously, teams are just more prepared. There's less kind of lazy points that you can get where like, oh, this guy just didn't feel like full out sprinting back.
Are you talking points per game?
Yeah. So like because like right now, like I said, 130 just feels pretty easy, right? But obviously that is unrealistic. And I will go out on a limb and say if the Nuggets average 130 points a game, they're going to win the NBA championship in the playoffs. I don't think anyone's averaging close to that over the course of a series. So, but like, how much of this do you think is inflated by the familiarity of the team and like Jokic's brilliance, and then like some lazy, like, I hate to say it, I know I just got in trouble for maybe hating on AG a little bit, and this is another golden child of the Nuggets, but can we all admit that Christian Brown's points are bullshit? All right. Like, this guy just fucking sprints in a straight line, and everyone's like, run, Forrest, run. And then they let him make the layup because they feel bad. It is.
He's the most.
There are no playoff points in there except when he accidentally trips and throws in a three. All right.
I know he's Christian the NBA leader in transition points.
AKA bullshit. Like, it'd be one thing if they were all
like, count the same. I don't know why you're just throwing flamethrowers at our own team here.
Instead, he's just out there like a dog, like just tongue out, side of it.
Oh my god.
Throw me one,
This is a terrible take. This is terrible.
It's not. I'm just trying to prepare.
Who's everyone. Stephen A now?
Who's dancing? I'm just trying to prepare Nuggets fans who are dancing on the KCP grave and who are like, yeah, we don't need those 8 points. He averages more than that in transition. Listen, I predict Christian's going to be right around KCP's 5 point something in the playoffs. Like, and that may be enough. But, like, don't expect these 15, 16-point Christian Brown averages. That's not going to happen.
To get back to your original question, which was about how many points per game this offense is going to score in the playoffs.
You just don't want to address Christian?
I'm not arguing with I'm not addressing a terrorist. The championship year, the Nuggets averaged 113.5 points per game. And I think that I was going to say 115. Like, I think that's about right. That's a lot in the playoffs, by the way. Like, if you look at that list, if you just sort the 2023 NBA playoffs by how many points they scored, I can tell you that the Nuggets are 6th on that list. So, like, you know, it's not always putting up points is going to lead to success, I guess is what I'm saying. But, I think that this offense has the ability to be as effective as that offense was in the playoffs. Yeah,
I think I would agree with that ceiling. And I think, to your point, we're going to see a lot about the defense here in this upcoming stretch. Yeah. They've all kind of said, hey, we need to lock in. There's 20 games. We just want to be playing a good brand of basketball. Like, we know we need to, show some defensive growth and all that. Like, okay, let's see it. And it's fine if the Celtics don't panic, and we're not going to panic if in a week the Celtics blindly throw in 43s. Like, that can just happen against the Celtics. They're going to shoot 120, and if a third of them go in, it's going to be a bad night for you.
Yeah, they're so not fun to watch play basketball. It's sort of crazy. For all the talent on that team, they're just awful to watch.
And likable guys. Like, it's not even like they're like, oh man, these like couldn't be nicer. And like,
it's gonna be very different if we see them in the finals. Let me tell you, I will hate all of them actively.
I can't. A question here for you. Of the potential Eastern Conference opponents, maybe let's just go through the top 2, because I think there's a pretty steep drop-off after that. You kind of have to talk yourself into the Bucks after that. Or I guess the Knicks would be third.
Yeah, but I'm not talking myself into
No. But who would be your player that you think you would hate first in a Celtics-Nuggets finals?
That's a really good question. Porzingis, probably. Or
Mm, no, I think
Brown.
it feels like it's Jalen. It feels like it's Jalen. Jalen kind of sneakily complains about other players and other teams a lot.
Yeah,
And
and he's pompous as hell, if we're being
yeah, that
honest.
it's
Like,
just
you went to
he's gonna be like,
Cal, buddy. Like, you
it's
were not a
the
fucking
integrity of the
genius.
game that when when Jokic was bending over Kristaps and making him suck on his own penis, that I don't like it. I don't like it out there. Something
Uh,
like that.
I don't
So I
like.
agree, Jalen Brown. What about the Cavs?
Um,
Because I feel like Nuggets fans just kind of respect Donovan Mitchell. Um,
yeah.
Even though he torched us with Utah sometimes. One, it helps that we weren't in the arena. And because I'm sure he would have been taunting us. And then
Yeah.
I might feel differently. But
We
it
were
was just an
just
empty
happy to be
arena. We
watching
won the
basketball.
series and he played his ass off. like,
I oh hmm. I think it would be Jared Allen probably, but it might be Evan Mobley. It depends on which one of them commits just the first heinous foul against Jokic that is not called, because they would have to be just committing first degree assault down there. Uh, so whichever one of those probably.
I
I
was going to
was gonna
say
say
Garland.
I
I
was
just
gonna
feel
say
like
him
he
too,
could
but
be
I saw him
complaining about the
smash
refs or
his
something.
I saw him smash his face tonight, and I got a little sad for him. So that's literally why I didn't say
I mean,
anything.
like I said, the Cavs are a likable team too, really.
Yeah.
Um, so it'd
Who
be
do you
hard.
think is coming out of the East right now?
The Celtics. The Celtics coming out of the East. To think anything else is fooling yourself.
I'm starting to kind of fool myself a little bit.
Into who?
The Cavs.
The Cavs? No. The Cavs. You remember the
Dude,
Milwaukee
I think
Bucks
the
team where they
Celtics are
just
tired.
surrounded Giannis with a bunch of shooters, but then in the playoffs they had to play the Celtics and they were all just spot up shooters and they couldn't dribble and couldn't make decisions and poop themselves. I think that's what a lot of the Cavs role players are. That's a way to inflate your win total is to just have
They're definitely
your
got
one star
better.
and just surround him with spot up shooters because teams will
They've
just
got some
be
Oklahoma City
lazy.
Thunder in them. They're definitely a very good regular season team, but I I think the Celtics are tired. I think they've got a little bit of the Nuggets in them right now, where they
Yeah,
after two rounds of the playoffs, when you're losing games you probably shouldn't lose, and then you get snake bit. I think that is probably the Celtics' destiny this year.
I think they're coming out of there.
I would. I mean, I might. It might be dream casting too, because I'm starting to feel real good about this Nuggets team, and I really don't want to see. I just want some Miami Heat shit in there. Let's run it back, baby. Come on. I don't want to have to stress in the finals. It was a
Let's have
celebration
the
when we.
Sixers go on a run, and then right before they have to come play in Denver, Embiid's like, "I'm getting surgery. I'm getting surgery. I actually have to get that now."
My other knee now hurts.
Yeah, I got big damage out there. I actually won't be able to go. And then you have Paul George just clanking shit off the side of the backboard. It would be fun. Yeah, I'm starting to get a little bit more optimistic. I've said some. I hope Christian knows that came from a place of love,
It didn't
and
feel like it.
it did. He talks about how sometimes the naysayers motivate him, and I just wanted to give him a little pep talk.
Well, you gave him bulletin board material there. We can
Listen,
cross him off the list of potential guests, Dan.
oh, I think he'd love to come on and talk shit to me. I think he would sign up for that.
No.
If they won the championship, we should definitely invite him on using that clip. Because I bet he'll come on. He seems like that kind of guy.
Maybe he'd sign a rookie card for me or something since I defended him.
That'd be pretty dope. I'd like that for you. So Nuggets moved into second. Still only a half game ahead. Memphis won tonight, barely. So important stretch here, Ryan. Let's just get into it. So they go Lakers, they go Pacers, they go Lakers, Pacers. I know they have the Pistons in there and the Celtics in there, but I feel like they go Lakers, Pacers, Milwaukee, and then Pistons, and then the Celtics. So at the end of this stretch, Ryan, what do you think we are seeing? Lakers are at home. The rest are on the road. You are muted.
Let's go one by one. I think that the Lakers game, I have a good feeling about it. I think we're going to win.
W. I agree.
W for you as well. Okay, so we're 1-0. The Pacers are playing sneaky well.
It's the trap of all trap games.
Yeah, it's really trappy.
And I'm pretty sure it's at a weird time too.
It's 5 p.m. Mountain, 6 p.m.
Okay, 5's not terrible. I thought it was like 4:30 Mountain or something, and I was like, oh God. So a little trappy there. However, I do feel like the Pacers just kind of want to do the same thing the Nuggets want to do, and I kind of trust us to execute a little bit more on the road than I trust the Pacers right now.
That's a Michael Porter Jr. type of game. Like, we're gonna need somebody else to win that game.
You're gonna
if
swing the ball a few times, you're gonna get an open three.
If they show up, that'll be great. If not, then we could easily lose that game.
Yeah, that game I would put it 50-50. Like I'll give us the W. But I agree with you. It's a trap game, especially if the Nuggets have just won 10 in a row. You can't tell me that like they're just not getting up for that anymore than they possibly can.
I think the Bucks is a win.
I think
we're gonna boat race. They're a nightmare right now.
Yeah, I mean they got a win over the Clippers. Yeah, they came back against the Clippers, but like they're just, especially against us, they're just in a bad spot. Like it's a regular season game. They're a team that if they really, really wanted to win, and Doc Rivers was like, "This is for you and me," and was like, "I'm going to play this like it's the Game 7 of the NBA Finals," don't you just sit Brook Lopez down and just be like, "No, we're not going to give Jokic someone to just sit and do nothing with on defense." No, thank you. Actually, we're not going to do that.
Well, you just run.
Giannis is strong enough. He'll play.
You just run pick and roll with Brook all night because he can shoot the three pretty decently and put Jokic in every action.
Jokic is just trapping high.
I'm not worried about the Bucks. It's on the road, so you never know. But I'm not worried about them. I also think if I'm being honest, I think we're going to win every game leading up to the Celtics, and then they'll probably end our win streak like we ended theirs last year.
I was thinking the Pistons would be a hard one because we beat the snot out of them with no Cade. Cade's going to be back, and like that's just a young, hungry team where like veteran teams, if you're trying to win the championship, yeah, you can get up for a game to try to stop a team's winning streak. But when you're the Pistons, this is your goddamn Super Bowl. Like, it's going to be on Sports Center.
I just think
Cade Cunningham takes down the 13-game win streak of the Nuggets. Like,
yeah, I don't think that they have the talent to do. I think we're playing too well right now. Like, I'm judging it based off of what this last stretch of basketball has looked like, and they've been consistently better than bad teams. And the Pistons are not a good team, so I think we get past the Pistons, and I think we lose to the Celtics on the road.
Yeah, in Boston, that feels like a hard thing.
I think we're going to lose one of these games. If we come back 3-2, that's fine. If we come back 4-1 or 5-0, obviously that's like unbelievable. But
yeah,
it's a tough stretch of games, and I think we'll learn a lot.
Yeah, I think 5-2 or better. or you're like, great, give me that, right? There might be some games in there that piss you off that they lose. Yeah. But, if you lose one to the Celtics and one that maybe you shouldn't have for that long of a road trip, that's fine.
Yeah. That stuff happens. It's still the NBA. But I would love a win streak here. Just honestly to get out of that 3-4 mix. I think that the Memphis is very vulnerable right now. So I think if we could put 2 games on Memphis in the next 8, that's unbelievable. And if we put 2 games on them, hopefully we're keeping pace above those other teams where they're not really gaining on us. And we could end up with a 3.5 game lead for the 2 seed. And
that's where you want to be. You're not going to catch the Thunder. No. You're just not. And so you just want to be comfortably in the 2nd seed so you can be okay. Yeah. All right. Well, that's all we had this week. We'll be back next week with more Denver Nuggets breakdowns. It'll be an exciting week, Ryan. Have a good week. And anything else to say to our loyal podcast listeners?
No. Go Nuggets tomorrow. I really hope we beat the Lakers.
Yeah. Would love that.
That's step number 1.
Correct.
Is Luka playing? Do we know?
I think he will. I think it was just injury management on back-to-back, so I think they'll play.
All right. Well, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, let's dance. All right. Please rate 5 stars, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend, and we will talk to you next week.
Bye.
Blucifer Brothers is a Crab Shell Media podcast.